I'm Brittany Trochet.
And I'm Tina Parker. And we are
Uniting Artists, here to collaborate, educate, and elevate. Let's talk all things film industry.
Let's do it. Join us on our journey as we highlight a uniting artist. Okay, thanks again for joining us here on Uniting Artists podcast. Got a very special guest, special to me because I met him back in 2007, and we reconnected again on Homestead. This is Bailey Chase, who plays Jeff Erickson.
Thank you. Beautiful intro. Was it 07 when we got out of high school, right? It's like,
right.
Yeah, you look beautiful. Thank you. And Brittany, thanks both for having me.
So I was going into some reconnaissance here on you, and I found out a lot I did not know, like that you have a last name. And am I going to mutilate it if I say Lutgert?
That was great.
What?
Good for you. Yeah. Yeah.
And so Bailey Chase, is that your first and middle name, or?
The Chase was my middle name. Now it's my legal last name. I kept Lutgert legally anyway. You know, I started using Chase professionally back in the late 90s. And, when I decided to make this my profession, obviously it's a unique, kind of hard to pronounce last name that a lot of people in Hollywood struggled with. And, at the time, Hollywood's obviously changed a lot, but I'm sure there are actors today that still change their names. But back then it was much more common. It's interesting because my friends from LA and beyond, obviously I live in North Carolina now, know me as Chase. And all my friends growing up through school called me Lutgert, or Lute for short. I had a football coach at Duke who he was a great football coach, but maybe not the sharpest tool in the shed. And he just couldn't say Lutgert, and so he started calling me Lute, and it stuck. And all my Duke buddies call me Lute.
I like Lute.
Thank you. And then also just thinking ahead for my family. And Chase was my grandmother's maiden name, who had a very strong hand in raising my brother and I. And so in honor to my grandmother, I go by Chase.
I like that. That's really sweet. I'm glad I asked about that. That's some great intel. And I just love your name. I think you've got the coolest name, Bailey Chase. Come on. It's a good name.
Yeah, I mean, it's cooler now. And, I have 8-year-old twins and a 10-year-old. And so, at that age, you just want to fit in, and I've got Waverly, which is unique. Gage is different. And then a Maggie, much more common, but, you just want to fit in. And I thought of changing my first name, with all of the childhood insecurities that we all have. And, but now it's cool. I love it. It's sort of a girl's name, but I try to pull it off.
No, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. It's all in how you wear it, and you wear it well. It's iconic.
There we go. See,
it wears well on you.
See, this is why I like to start off my day first thing. These two. Yeah.
I've had good times. I know. I'm sure little trailer moments are garage moments most recently, but I'm so glad to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Our garage moments. Yeah.
Our garage moments.
Yeah, we've had
working on cars. Whatever we got to do, get the job done.
Yeah, we got to tell everybody about this. We had location that was really taking a lot of time out of our scheduling on filming Homestead. So they decided to not do a makeup and hair trailer, but to make a place for us in the garage. So Brittany and I kind of made a faux little hair and makeup stations, and we shared it with the grips, with the camera department. And so, usually when you're sitting in a makeup trailer, you feel the privacy. And we had a curtain, and sometimes I forgot that other people could hear what we were talking about.
It does not sound...
No, it was not. There were so many times people were like, I like being in the hair and makeup trailer. I'm like, I bet you do, and you're getting kicked out. It was so funny. But I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I would hype myself up and play the tunes I needed to play in the off moments. And then, everyone got a little BTS of the hair and makeup trailer for sure.
Yeah.
So much fun. So you have a psychology degree from Duke University, right? Mr. Football Scholarship. Good job. We're very proud.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the only way I would have gotten into that school, but yes, thank you. But yeah, it was, I was very fortunate. It's great school.
Good boy. With your degree, I'm not sure how long it was. I didn't look at that, but with your degree, do you use that psychology degree with your characters, building your characters, just on the scene of the job?
That's a great question. And I think it, again, going back, childhood, all the things that we all have our unique path and things come up for a reason. And, I felt like a bit of a detective where I was always trying to, figure things out. Why did my parents get divorced? Why did this happen, to me or whatever? And, why is that person the way that they are? And in that regard, I think a psychology degree is really helpful in life and definitely in acting. And, that's what I try to do in my job is, not make judgments on a character, but to really just go in and try to understand them better and then justify why they are the way they are. I mean, I made a post last week about Homestead and, not really a spoiler alert here, borderline maybe, but it gets it gets worse before it gets better. Post apocalypse requires my guy to go to a darker place. And from Bailey, on the outside looking in, it's like, man, why is this guy so mad? Why is he, and you just got to surrender to it, surrender to the process and get in there and be the guy. Because if you sit outside and make judgments, you can't give a good performance. Anyway, I think it's very helpful and applicable. And it even helps in life and marriage, children.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I love that. That's a good backbone.
Thank you. And it was the one thing, it was really the only subject that I was like, yes. And it inspired me to study harder. I just all through school, I pretty much cared about sports, and I always thought science was pretty cool, blowing stuff up, chemistry, that was fun. But then, psychology, Carl Jung, understanding what makes people tick.
Yeah. And I see your wheels turning a lot. You process. He's quite quiet, you guys. He's not a loud, boisterous. I don't know, at least not around us. You're very focused. You're a great leader. I love that you have this quiet disposition but people are drawn to you. I've seen it happen while you're in my chair. Even people will come to you as a leader of our show. It's so great to have somebody that has a great disposition, if you would, as a leader on the show, because it trickles downhill and people look up to you. I know you've helped out a lot of the new actors on the show, and they've come and told me about it and how gracious you are with it all. So I think that's really cool too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I feel like you're very calm and calculated is what I've noticed with you. I just had to say that and put that in there.
I've gotten better over time. Let's be real. I'm better at 50 than I was in my, 30s, and just more patient. And again, having children, as you know, changes you and humbles you. And there's a lot less ego involved. And, at my age, I get a lot of joy at helping, the younger actors come up and hopefully avoid some of the mistakes that I made.
No, I think that's great. And they're lucky to have you there. And I appreciate you being there because you're always just a grounding energy when you're there.
Thank you. And as all of us know who are listening, who are in this business, it all comes through the hair, makeup, trailer, or garage, or whatever you got. So that's a safe place for us.
We try to create that. Thank you. When was it the psychology that took you from being an athlete to going into acting? What made the pivot? Because you're loving and doing football scholarship, great college. What made you start pivoting? Was it before or after college into acting?
That's a good question. I mean, it was certainly halfway through. I knew that, the NFL wasn't calling for 6 foot, 200-pound safety. He wasn't particularly fast. And I did. I started to think about it, but I didn't really do anything about it. I'm a Taurus, pretty stubborn, very loyal. We've all been, betrayed here and there, and then you have to take care of yourself. But when I'm all in, I really am. And I made a commitment to Duke, to my team. And so it's very important for me. After my freshman year, I knew like, okay, I want to go to LA. I want to, it was just a boyhood dream. Again, I was raised by a single mom, and dad, I'm sure did his best, but he just wasn't around a lot. And I'd come home from school, mom would be at work, and I'd turn on TV, and a lot of Clint Eastwood westerns would be on. And so I was like, when I grow up, I want to be like that guy. So strong. Brittany's silent. You're talking with your actions more than your words. So for me, it was a shock to my parents, but it was a pretty natural transition for me to go from sports to acting, although I had no clue what I was getting myself into. And it was extremely humbling to go from being a Division I scholarship athlete where everything is taken care of for you. These are your classes, and here's your allowance, your meal plan. Here's where you're going to live. Here are your books. Here's your, sneakers and equipment, and then be here, and here at these times. And then you go to LA, and it was pretty overwhelming. So thank God that I grew up in sports and had discipline and was used to, created a structure for myself and got into classes right away, got a job waiting tables, and went through a lot of the rejection, like, pretty much all the rest of us before things started happening for me. But again, to go back to the psychology, my first few acting classes where you learn a lot about yourself and you overcome, stage fright, fear of public speaking. I remember those early classes, like just, almost like shaking with nerves, reading in front of a room of, 20 of my peers. So.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes that stuff can just take you by surprise. I'm like, oh, I'm brave. I've got this. And then as soon as the cameras hit me or just one little thing, the marbles in my throat, and I just like second guess it. So yeah, it takes a lot to refine and to kind of overcome that. So that's an important thing to do for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see it all the time, don't we? Where, someone's great in the hair makeup chair and, and then doing it on cameras, it's different. There's a learning curve. So whenever I see someone in trouble on that front, I try to help the ways that I can. I think the worst thing you can do is to tell someone how to do it. And I try to find a way to maybe give them an action to help them get to where they need something that's actionable versus do it like this,
Helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That helps them figure it out.
Yep. Maybe. One of the guys, definitely one of the good guys.
Down the road. Yes.
Yeah, so you attended the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. I don't know when this happened, mister, on the timeline.
Late 90s, a lot of stuff was on back then, It's a free open world. It was a good time, right after graduating college. I went and did a Shakespeare program over there again. A friend of mine has a saying, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. And so I wasn't going to just go dip my toes in the acting thing and say, oh, I tried that. I'm going to jump in the deep end. And I did. And, I started in LA and had started, gotten the unions and, it was SAG and AFTRA were separate at the time, was getting these small kind of hunky roles, for lack of a better term, playing the jock or whatever, a lifeguard, embarrassing stuff.
I was hoping that you were going to say that you went to ballet.
Hey, God, was the internet even around back then? I don't know. Close. Anyway, so I went over there and God, it was really great. And I wasn't very good at it. But by the end, we did a production, Comedy of Errors, played Antipholus of Syracuse. And it was, I grew a lot. I grew a lot as an artist, as a person. I had a nice London romance that ended when I moved back to LA, but that's all, a nice chapter in life.
I love that little time capsule, so to speak.
Capsule. Yeah.
Like that. And then I'm going to carry on with your career. You worked with an improv group. I so can't see you doing this. I can't wait to put you on the spot.
Terrible. That's why I had to do it.
The Groundlings, known for improv and sketch comedy. And you haven't had roles that I'm aware of that have been comedy. Is this something you like or want to do? Or was it just kind of
it's something that helps you get outside of yourself. So the first rule, instead of deflecting or defeating something that someone hands you in improv, it's yes and. right? So that's, this is what they did, Groundlings 101. So if you were to tell me you've got a plaid shirt on, yes, and it's Levi's, you got a plaid Levi's shirt on, and yes, right, and so it could just go anywhere from there, but it keeps you listening, keeps your attention on who you're working with, and so it was really good for me that way as a shy, introverted person who at that time was muscular, and that's all protection, right? It's all a way, like, I had bangs in my face, hiding without knowing that you're hiding. And then over time, hopefully you open and you blossom as a person. And, I'm still a quiet, introverted, that's my personality, but I'm much more open and vulnerable. And the Groundlings helped with that. So going back early on in my career, I did a 50-50, probably comedy to 1 hour, little sitcoms, but, things like Married with Children, very small part, but then some smaller ones that we wouldn't remember. Ugly Betty was a really fun one. So that, that was when they started to transition into single camera, kind of the dramedy world. And that was really fun. That was a fun role. Yeah. One of the, in today's day and age of self-tapes and straight offers and everybody living everywhere, that was one that I, went on to the lot, one in the room. And that, it's always a little more satisfying to do that. And I miss that part of our business because over time I got good in the room.
Well, so we met on Saving Grace. I think it was around 2007, and you were playing a cop, right? What was your detective? What were you?
So Butch, Ada, God, there were a lot of cool things about that show, and all the main characters, their last names were cities or towns in Oklahoma. Our showrunner Nancy Miller was from Oklahoma. My nickname was Benny because I played, he played football at Texas. So Benedict Arnold. Good football rivalry humor. Barry Switzer cameoed on that show. But it was really great. And I would say Laura San Giacomo, like she was that person on that show. Everybody could go to Laura and she was just the bomb, and she had been around the block, and a mom, and my mom passed away during that production, and my last dog, and I was just lost and heartbroken, and she was there for me. And so was Kenny Johnson. He's a bro too. So I grew up a lot on that show. It was my first time being a series regular, working with Holly Hunter, Academy Award winner. It was at a time when film stars weren't doing television. She was probably the first Oscar winner to do that. She and Glenn Close. And that was a good time. That's when cable TV was really taking off. And, kind of between Lambda and there, I'd gone to New York for a few years and done a soap opera. And that was a really, thank God I had that under my belt. Because again, I just got through the repetition. There's something called the 10,000 hour rule. And I had logged a lot of time on set in front of the camera at that point. I would not want to do Saving Grace as a new green actor. That would have been hard. It was hard. As you know, it was a challenge.
I do. I actually worked with Laura San Giacomo on The Stand, the original one. So I love when I get to tap into another person that I've worked like you, like on for Homestead now.
Yeah, and it is so rewarding, when we go on these divergent paths, and then God brings us back together, and it's really lovely to be working with you again.
Thank you. You too, for sure. Yeah, I heard you were coming on. Like, oh yes, I know it's a great show now. With Homestead, because your character is also kind of the alpha man on that. What do you see the difference? Or it's not typecasting. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you've got a strong male lead, do you get called to that a lot, or because that's how your presence is, or how do you think the roles come to you?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's funny because in the feature, you've got myself and Neil McDonough. We're on the same team, but we definitely butt heads, right? There's conflict. Every story needs conflict. And so I found it really interesting to play. And I think it'll be interesting for the audience too, to watch these two alpha males do what they need to do their job. And yet there's the bigger picture of the homestead in this particular project. And I love Neil. I've known him for decades, and we played in a actor softball league, and he's a D1 athlete himself and a great family man. And then the storyline goes where it goes, and it's a little different in the series. And I'm leaving the homestead and doing those kind of things, or I'm more of a lone wolf. And so it's I don't know. Again, I think you just fall into that role and you surrender and you go on that journey and see where it takes you. And I don't know where this one's going to come out. There was another series called Longmire that I did that, I ended up, that character, Branch, Connolly, ended up in a very different place from where he started. And, you just kind of stay in it in the moment. And then at the end, you can look back and maybe take some pleasure and like, wow, that was cool.
Thanks for sharing that. I think it's fun to watch actors get into the different shows and see how their transitions are. And I mean, like you said, through the ages that we are different people. So I think you bring a lot to different characters as you are in it more, just like us in our careers,
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some stuff in the series too, where it was really interesting. And I knew the scenes were coming, but I didn't know what was going to happen. And the scenes, what ended up happening. And in hindsight, I was like, wow, that was so cool. But with my son, Tyler Lofton, and that, I'm the same guy, but now I'm not with another man, I'm with a young man playing my son. And then how that comes out. And then there were the scenes with Kieran, where we're talking about our kids. And it's so funny, right? Because in life, we don't always tell our kids all the things that we say and we feel. But if our kids could see that, they would probably feel a lot better, feel a lot more loved. But we're trying to be that role model and set that example for them. So yeah, pretty cathartic stuff. I didn't get to play a dad, until it's more of a recent phenomenon, but it's maybe you do too. Like we show up on these sets now and it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm kind of the veteran guy here. I'm one of the seasoned. We're seasoned, Tena.
I know. And
it's different.
You have kids, so you actually can reflect on, as a parent, how your emotions would take you.
Absolutely. And I can see these actors in their late 20s, and it takes me back to, okay, I remember where I was at that time. And so I know what I'm dealing with, and I know how to speak to them, which is, and there's another project I'm developing where, not right away, but maybe season 2, I'd like to direct, because the idea of it's very interesting to me.
Love that. I think actors make great directors, especially for a perspective actor to actor. And when you have a DP and people that can be with the visuals too. And I think we've got a good team there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you know the actor Peter Weller, but he was one of my favorites on Longmire, played a character and directed a bunch. And, we just speak the same language.
Yeah. So. I worked with him on Hawaii Five-0. In fact, I helped him.
Yeah. What a character. Oh my God.
He had a pink mohawk for his son. He wanted to have a mohawk and make it pink for his son. I thought that was sweet.
Gosh. Yeah. He's a treasure.
He is.
I love that. So when you're preparing for a character, do you have like a specific mindset? How do you do that? How do you memorize your lines? What's your process?
Yeah. I get asked that quite a bit. I'm again, like a process guy, repetition, 10,000 hour rule, where I just do it over and over and over again. I used to write it all out because that helped me. If I was writing it out, I couldn't think about anything else. So it really made me hyper focus on the actual words and getting them down. I don't necessarily have to do that anymore, but I read them over and over and over. And, it's fun. And then I put it down. I can't do it for more than an hour or two. And then I got to move on to but then I pick it back up. And then by like the third or fourth pass, I start to pick up different things in the lines, or, oh, it's this, not that. Because if we don't really hyper focus, we might exchange a word that we would say that, that actually matters. And then with Homestead, in particular, it's been really great, the collaboration where they do allow us to change some words and make it our own. So that's always nice to work with people who want to collaborate on that level.
Freedom and the real group project, the collaboration. I think that's why we're all really in it. We love that part of it.
Yeah, we're not robots. Yeah.
And I got to say, the Homestead team cast and crew is such a great place. I feel at home there. I feel valued. I feel even us as our department, we can collaborate, and help things out. So we were talking about that with another producer, and just when we're given the freedom to do what we do and not be micromanaged, we're able to bring our best to the plate too.
Yeah.
I'm glad they give you guys that room it's almost like giving the writers and the director an insight, because you're really focused on your character. So you bring in probably more light to it than they see on the paper. So I love seeing that too. I think that's one of the cool things when I'm on set. I just get to see it maybe perform differently than what I read. And
yeah.
I like being surprised like that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I would view this as more of a creative partnership, whereas most studio jobs are, I'm a pro and I can show up and I can do my job and stay in my lane. And there was a show right up before COVID where, I was the love interest to the female lead of that series. And, she's great. But another like a Holly Hunter, just a powerhouse, and just, and I could do that, that sometimes that's the job too. Sometimes they just want you to show up and do your job and go home and you get a check in the mail. That's what that job was. But, if I have a choice, I prefer the creative partnership. And I also have a lot more to give now than I did 20 years ago. Sometimes it's funny because back then that's exactly how I used to approach it. Like just my character. And I think I just see the bigger picture now, and I see my character, but I see theirs too, and all the things at play and all the, all the departments that are involved. And Homestead, we had some crazy hard locations to get to. Obviously makes everyone's job a lot harder, especially if you're getting bags and props. And
you guys have a lot of
bag lady Brittany to the rescue.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but since you put it out there.
Our makeup mule.
Yeah. Good. That's good.
So we're talking about from when you started and where you are now. So what would you tell the 20-year-old Bailey? What advice would you have for that 20-year-old Bailey?
To stay patient, not take things personal, to be kinder to myself. I would tell anybody that. Yeah. And then the insecurities. The reality is most people don't care. They're too busy dealing with their own stuff. So if you're worried about what they're thinking about you, they're not thinking that. They're probably worried about their own insecurities, or they're, moving on to other things. Whereas early on in my acting career, I wanted to do a good job, of course. I mean, I still want that on some level, but I'm not worried about it. I wanted people to like me. And I wouldn't say I don't care what other people think, but I don't let it bother me so much. I don't worry about it.
I think that comes with age too. I learned that in therapy. My therapist goes, "It's not about you, Tena." I'm like, "Wait, what?" She's like, "No, it's not about you. Like whatever they're going through and any reactions they're getting, that's their process and that's their path and they're learning their things." And so that not taking it personally was a hard lesson. And I'm a people pleaser too. So in people, their space to go through their process, and they really don't care about everything I'm worried about myself. So
probably. Yeah.
A life lesson for sure. An actor did come up and really was so humbled and thankful that you took the time to sidestep something with him and help him process and learn along the way. And he's got a huge following on social medias, and he's new to the new formula of acting and working with a show. So again, we're all very grateful to have a great leader like you in the position you're in, the time you take for people.
Totally. We love Bailey Chase and Jeff. Jeff Bailey is really what I call you, or Bailey Jeff. You kind of go in hand, and then Chase comes out too. We're on Homestead at least. But we were wondering if you could have dinner with 5 people, dead or alive, who would they be?
Oh gosh. My mom.
Yeah, of course.
But it would be my family that's no longer with us. 100%. My grandparents were really, really great to me, and I miss them, and I miss my mom. I wish she were here for her grandchildren.
Yeah, totally. I understand that.
I love that answer. So many people go Jesus and Madonna, or I love that it was family. But I see that with you. I see, your wife's calling you, and you really I remember you had come out for a day and it was Halloween and kids were planning on you being there. And I saw your heart broken. It's like, oh, I totally get it. Again, just a good guy.
As you know, like, a few years from now, they're not going to be trick or treating anymore. So,
oh, these are precious years. Oh, I'm sorry. I had a couple of those too. I know it's heartbreaking, but you're also setting a great example for your family. Should we get into rapid questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Ice cream or cake, Bailey?
Ice cream.
Yes. What flavor?
Coffee.
Ooh. Road bike or dirt bike?
Dirt bike.
Water skiing or snow skiing?
I grew up water skiing.
Okay. We'll take that one.
Or snowboarding.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I should have said that one instead. Okay. This one's going to be a good one. Golf or football?
Play golf, watch football.
Good answer. Sleep in or up early?
I'm an early riser. Yeah.
You're good about your schedule and working out. I do know that too. So, last one, morning or night?
Oh God. I'm a morning person now. It's changed. I didn't used to be, I'm a morning person. I love to chill at night. So if we're talking about chilling, that's nighttime.
Okay. I like it. I like both. I like the ice cream answer. That was right on for me.
Okay, good.
Well, this will wrap up our Uniting Artists podcast with Bailey Chase, who you will see on Homestead December 20th, 2024. And are they releasing the 2 episodes we did with it? What do you know?
Yeah, so they just for anybody who wants to check it out, they dropped the official trailer on Friday, so that's been going viral the last couple of days. It's awesome. They've done, I don't know, 3 or 4 million in pre-sales already for the movie release. So looking forward to seeing y'all at the premiere in LA. And yeah, so nationwide, December 20th. There's links probably in all our bios, definitely in mine, on how you can see the movie and get tickets, and they're running this really cool contest right now where they're giving away a Homestead and a Polaris and
I bought 6 tickets.
Bitcoin. Did you know a Bitcoin is worth 90 grand? I was like, one Bitcoin, like that's strange. My buddy's like, that's worth 90 grand. I was like, oh, okay. Now I have a deeper appreciation.
Yeah, buy tickets now. Angel Studios is selling out the tickets. And again, thanks for your time today, Bailey. I know it's Sunday, so taking you away from football.
It'll be there. Thanks. Lots of love.
Lots of love. Have a great day. See you soon.
All the best.
Hey, y'all, join us next week as we highlight another Uniting Artist.
And remember, when artists support artists, everyone prospers.